Two of Hollywood's most intimidating action stars, Niss and Bruce Willis, have been the face of several blockbuster franchises and have built reputations as cinematic tough guys with unmistakable screen presence. However, speculation has persisted for years regarding their relationship, or lack thereof. Why did they never share? Within an industry notorious for egos, secrecy, and hidden feuds, it was easy to imagine that something deeper was going on between these two titans. Then, to everyone's surprise, Niss chose to break his silence in a recent interview and finally addressed the truth. Speculation swirled about whether the two intentionally avoided working together, or if there was tension brewing behind the scenes that fans were unaware of for decades. Discussing his relationship, or lack thereof, with Bruce Willis, Niss revealed more than your average Hollywood soundbite. It was an emotionally raw, deeply personal, and, in some ways, unexpected account of his life and career journey from his birth in Belfast, Northern Ireland, to his status as one of Hollywood's most revered and lucrative actors. The early years of Neeson, who was born on June 7, 1952, in the Northern Irish town of Ballymena, did not bode well for his eventual rise to international fame. His acting career officially began in 1976 when he joined Belfast's Lyric Players Theatre. This was the turning point in his career, which would lead to widespread praise. Neeson made his film debut the following year, in 1977, in the relatively small role of Pilgrim's Progress. By 1981, he had secured his. He made his big screen debut as Sir Gawain in Excalibur, which helped to boost his profile. He went on to star in supporting roles in acclaimed films like 1984's The Bounty and 1980 SIX's The Mission, laying the groundwork for more prominent parts. His breakthrough role as a leading man came in 1990's Darkman, in which he played a scientist who becomes a disfigured man. The role was a watershed moment for Neeson, bringing him more fame and demonstrating that he could carry a film on his own. But Niss's career was irrevocably altered in 1993 when he played Oscar Schindler in Steven Spielberg's stirring historical drama Schindler's List. The performance was highly acclaimed, and Neeson was nominated for an Oscar for Best Actor. The picture itself became a cultural phenomenon. Neeson spent the next decade starring in a string of critically and commercially successful films from 1995 to 2005. His portrayal of the German industrialist who saved over 1,000 Jews during the Holocaust in Rob Roy, 1995, was one of the most significant and respected performances of his career. This moment not only solidified his place in Hollywood, but also demonstrated the depth and emotional power he could bring to the screen. Well-known Scotsman and, in Michael Collins' 1996, he portrayed the Irish revolutionary leader with conviction and intensity. In 1999, Neeson joined the Star Wars universe as Jedi Master Qui-Gon Jinn in the first episode, The Phantom Menace. This role introduced him to a whole new generation of fans and brought him into the science fiction realm. Other notable appearances during this period include Gangs of New York, 2002, and Neeson's career took a surprising turn in 2008 when he starred in the action thriller Taken, which was about a retired CIA agent whose daughter is abducted. The film was a surprise hit and catapulted Neeson into a late-career action star. He had previously been recognized as a gifted dramatic actor in the 2003 holiday film Love, in which he played a grieving widower navigating life with his young stepson. The success of Taken resulted in 2 sequels and a string of similar roles in the action genre, demonstrating that Neeson could convey both emotional depth and physical intensity on screen. However, in 2009, Neeson suffered a personal tragedy that would have a profound impact on his life. His wife, actress Natasha Richardson, died suddenly in a skiing accident. The loss was a profound blow, and Neeson later discussed the sorrow and shock he felt in the aftermath. Despite the emotional toll between 2020 and 2024, Liam Neeson remained busy starring in action drama films. In 2021's The Marksman, he played a former Marine rescuing a young boy from a dangerous cartel. In 2022's Blacklight, he played a government agent uncovering a sinister conspiracy. And in 2023's Retribution, he played a man ensnared in a deadly game with a ticking clock. These films solidified Neeson's position as one of the leading actors in the genre in the limelight, and proved his evergreen popularity with viewers who loved his charismatic performances and his ability to bring complex characters to life. However, despite his varied and successful career, Liam Neeson has not been immune to criticism and controversy. In the years after his comeback as an action star, Neeson was caught in the middle of a shocking and unsettling media storm. In an interview with The Independent in 2019, while promoting his film Cold Pursuit, Neeson revealed a disturbing and deeply personal story. He reminisced about a time when he found out that a black man had raped someone close to him decades ago. In response, he confessed that he walked the streets armed, hoping to confront any black man who dared to cross him. His candor shocked both the audience and the journalists. Despite the event having happened long ago, his willingness to describe it in such graphic detail caused there was a lot of public outcry and condemnation. Many people thought his comments were racist and deeply disturbing, which made them question his judgment and understanding of racial violence. The story was deemed dangerous, unacceptable, and unsuitable for public discourse. The controversy had a real impact, meaning that Cold Pursuit's promotional appearances were canceled, and the film's coverage changed drastically, going from entertainment to. In the days that followed the scandal, Neeson made an appearance on multiple talk shows to try to clear up any confusion about his intentions. He explained that he wanted to use the story as a cautionary tale about the power of anger, grief, and prejudice, and that he sought help and thought deeply about his past experiences during this period of personal shame, rather than as a proud moment or anecdote. While the storm passed, the incident remained a contentious chapter in Neeson's life and career. He stated, "I'm not proud of it," in multiple interviews. However, he felt he had to be honest about it. Some in the public and entertainment industry recognized his honesty and his intent to expose a troubling truth about racial bias. On the other hand, some were not convinced that sharing the story without fully understanding its implications was to blame. For some, the damage had already been done. View him, this wasn't the only thing that Neeson has been under fire for recently. Following 2008's Taken, he became more and more of a typecast action hero. Film after film followed the same formula, a melancholy protagonist thrust into a violent situation, whether it be a rescue mission, revenge, conspiracy, or personal vendetta. While audiences and critics alike enjoyed these films, some started to wonder if Neeson was. Some film critics and industry observers worried that Neeson's involvement in low-budget, formula-driven action thrillers might water down his reputation as a serious dramatic actor. This was in contrast to his earlier, more dramatic performances in films like Schindler's List, Michael Collins, and Silence, which showcased a broad range of emotions and ideas. And economical success instead of artistic challenge? Was Hollywood too quick to cast him in predictable plots instead of giving him roles that suited his experience and talent? Just so we're clear, this criticism wasn't based on any wrongdoing. It was more of an artistic and creative debate, and Neeson himself occasionally addressed these. During interviews, he admitted to a pattern in his film choices, but usually justified them as practical considerations. He mentioned that action roles still brought in the crowds and gave him steady work at his age. He also mentioned that, Although he enjoyed writing thrillers, he was open to exploring different types of roles when the opportunities presented themselves. Silence and the Ice Road were examples of his desire to branch out from action, even though most people still thought of him in terms of high-stakes suspense and violent confrontations. Politically, Neeson has occasionally sparked public debate. While his involvement in politics has been relatively infrequent and cautious compared to other celebrities, he has commented on both Irish and American issues. Some see him as a reliable action figure who discovered unexpected success late in his career, while others believe he is capable of far more than what Hollywood is currently offering him. He frequently discusses politics from a personal standpoint that stems from his background and experiences. On rare occasions, he has voiced his disapproval of certain Irish nationalist movements, which has drawn criticism from some Northern Irish citizens. While these remarks were not particularly detailed or provocative, they did spark reactions in a region where history and politics are deeply intertwined and frequently contentious. Despite this, Neeson has typically refrained from taking overly public or controversial positions. He is seldom in the news for his political activism, though his occasional comments continue to draw scrutiny from those with differing views, Bruce Willis has managed to keep his statements focused on broader human issues rather than party affiliations or ideology. In interviews, he has expressed concern about the growing polarization in global politics and mentioned feeling a responsibility to use his platform carefully. Like Liam Neeson, Willis has been marked by iconic roles in film and has left a distinctive and lasting legacy. Hailing from Oberstein, West Germany, Willis eventually settled in New Jersey and started to shape his acting career in the 1980s with a number of off-Broadway shows and small TV parts. However, his breakthrough role came from 1985 to 1989 on the hit TV series, playing the role of David Addison. This led to massive box office successes and, ultimately, a public and personal battle with health that ended his acting career. Starring opposite Cy Shepherd in a side project, Willis's performance not only won him an Emmy and a Golden Globe, but it also made him a household name. He married Demi Moore in 1987, and the couple became one of Hollywood's most talked-about couples. In 1988, his star came crashing down when Die Hard came out, starring him as the now legendary John Mallon. The film was a game-changer for both Willis and the action genre, marking. In the early 1990s, Willis continued to feature in high-profile films like Die Hard 2 and The Last Boy Scout, which solidified his reputation as an action star. In Die Hard with a Vengeance, 1995, he brought a new level of energy to his iconic role. In the same year, he starred in 12 Monkeys, a picture that garnered him considerable critical praise for his portrayal of a time-traveling prisoner. In 1997, his role in The Fifth Element solidified his position as a hero of the future, and in 1998, Armageddon became a worldwide hit. The following year, in 1999, he had a breakthrough with The Sixth Sense, a picture that not only made him $1 million, but also showed his ability to portray nuanced characters. In the role of a child psychologist, his understated performance brought out a side of him that some had forgotten he had. Willis's performance in Unbreakable, in which he reunited with Sixth Sense director M. Night Shyamalan for a subtle and cerebral take on the superhero genre, adds to the film's quiet power and later becomes a central piece of the eventual trilogy, is one of the defining roles of his career. The 2000s brought a mix of action and drama for Willis. In 2003, he returned to more traditional action fare with Tears of the Sun, Following this, in 2005, he starred as the hard-boiled Detective Hartigan in the stylish and violent Sin City. In 2007, he played John Glenn again in Live Free or Die Hard, demonstrating that he could still dominate the screen in intense, physically demanding roles. In 2010, he made an appearance in Red, a comedic and high-energy film about retired operatives re-encountered in the world of espionage. During this time, Willis showed a willingness to mix things up, balancing gritty action with occasional comedic moments, entertaining and touching moments, while his personal life changed as well. In 2000, after a 13-year marriage, Willis and Demi Moore officially ended their divorce. Despite the split, the couple remained supportive of each other and co-parented their 3 daughters peacefully, demonstrating a level of maturity and civility that is unusual in high-profile Hollywood splits. In 2009, Willis would model Emma Hemming, but their romance was mostly shrouded in tabloids. As the years passed into the 2010s, their relationship continued to evolve. Willis kept going back to his action movie roots in 2013 with A Good Day to Die Hard, the 5th installment in the Die Hard series. The picture wasn't as critically acclaimed as the previous entries, but it did solidify John Wayne's continued popularity. However, from 2012 to 2019, Willis starred in a string of direct-to-video action flicks, which were often made on tight budgets and involved. Released without theatrical runs drew criticism for their deteriorating quality and repetition. Fans and critics wondered if Willis was just trying to cash in on his name, because the films lacked the polished and energetic style of his earlier work. Despite this, there were hints at deeper ambitions in Glass, the long-awaited conclusion to the trilogy that started with Unbreakable. The film brought together characters from Split and Unbreakable, offering a reflective conclusion to a story that had. Glass, which began almost 20 years ago, reminded longtime fans of Bruce Willis's captivating on-screen persona, quiet strength, emotional restraint, and an undeniable presence. However, in 2022, the tone of Willis's story took a sharp turn. His family announced that he would be retiring from acting due to a diagnosis of aphasia, a cognitive disorder that impacts speech and communication. This news shocked both fans and colleagues, as the condition explained some of the actor's acting struggles. Recent changes in his acting style and film preferences. It was a sad moment for many reasons, including the fact that it revealed a personal struggle that Willis had been going through while working. Nevertheless, support came pouring in from directors, fellow actors, and millions of fans who were grateful for the entertainment he had given for decades. In 2023, his family provided another update, and fans were understandably saddened. Some saw Bruce Willis's final act as a bewildering or disappointing turn, but now they see it as a courageous attempt to keep doing what he loved despite a debilitating illness. This was especially true in light of the fact that he was diagnosed with frontotemporal dementia, a more serious and degenerative condition. The announcement was heartbreaking, but he shared it honestly and transparently, encouraging greater awareness about the disease. Bruce Willis had a lengthy and influential career, but his later years were marred by health problems and a slew of controversies that divided the entertainment industry. These things didn't define him, but they added layers of complexity to his legacy, painting a more nuanced and human picture of a man dealing with the pressures of fame, his own limitations, and his political views. One of the most talked about parts of his career was his conduct on set, especially in the 2000s and 2010s. Kevin Smith, a director known for his normally diplomatic demeanor, broke character by calling Willis a nightmare to work with, citing uncooperative and disengaged behavior during production. This candid assessment opened the door to similar accounts from others, who hinted at a pattern of on-set tension and aloofness. While some initially attributed it to ego or creative friction, these stories continue to surface. The revelation of Willis's aphasia diagnosis added new context to his apparent disengagement, which he may not have fully grasped at the time. This personal struggle storyline coincided with another growing concern during the 2010s, the noticeable decline in the quality of Bruce Willis's films. Gone were the big-budget blockbusters and nuanced dramatic roles that had defined his career. Earlier decades saw him instead appear in a string of low-budget direct-to-video action flicks, which were often ridiculed by critics and fans for their formulaic plots, little screen time, and lack of promotion. Many accused him of being involved in cash grabs that put quick paychecks before artistic integrity. The sheer volume of these projects made his name synonymous with ridicule in the industry. In 2022, the Golden Raspberry Awards, also known as the Razzies, introduced a new category called Worst Performance by Bruce Willis in a 2021 film. This unusual move highlighted the trend that audiences were becoming increasingly dissatisfied with Willis's acting. However, the Razzies faced a swift and pointed backlash after his family revealed his medical condition. In recognition of the seriousness of his diagnosis, they rescinded the award and issued an official apology. Bruce Willis gained notoriety for more than just his films and charming personality. He was also known for his strong opinions on gun ownership and other social and political issues. Unlike many of his Hollywood colleagues, Willis spoke out strongly against gun violence, especially during times of intense protests. This incident served as a sobering reminder of the significance of empathy and context, especially when assessing the professional choices of public figures. Amid the heated national debate over gun control, he made the statement, "If you take one gun away from one American, you're breaking the Constitution." This statement came at a time when the U.S. was under intense scrutiny for its role in the epidemic of gun violence, and it drew strong criticism from those who felt his stance was insensitive and at odds with rising public safety concerns. On the other hand, those who supported his stance lauded his dedication to the fact that he was willing to stand up for the Second Amendment and reject the liberal ideals often associated with the entertainment industry placed him in a rare and contentious position within Hollywood, where such opinions are typically met with opposition. While he avoided getting too involved in politics, when he did, it often sparked passionate responses from both sides. These incidents revealed a more nuanced side of him, showing that he was multifaceted. While Willis kept his political affiliations under wraps, he did occasionally voice conservative-leaning opinions in interviews, leading to speculation about his broader ideology. In interviews, Willis criticized government overreach, speaking out about issues related to privacy and individual liberty. While these remarks weren't always eye-catching, they did contribute to the Bruce Willis's portrayal as a principled, if occasionally controversial, figure who, like many of his characters, valued autonomy and distrusted authority struck a chord with some members of the public, especially those who shared his worries about striking a balance between safety and freedom. On the other hand, he faced backlash from those who believed he should have used his platform to advocate for more inclusive and progressive causes, in contrast to celebrities who often utilized their celebrity to. During his political campaign, Willis rarely spoke out, but when he did, it made a lasting impression. Now, actor Liam Neeson has broken his silence on Bruce Willis's decline, and the two have formed a strong human connection through Bruce's last years of public scrutiny, and Neeson's recent revelation about his personal rage incident. In an interview with The Independent published in 2019, Neeson made a shocking confession. He confessed to walking the streets in a rage after learning about a friend's assault at the hands of a black man, with the intention of getting into a confrontation. This sparked outrage and led him to reflect on his actions. "I'm not proud of it," he said, emphasizing that he needed to confront latent prejudice and warn others about the dangers of unchecked anger. The confession resulted in the cancellation of appearances and negative headlines, but it also earned him some respect for his honesty. Critics and the public alike took notice. Fans and critics alike witnessed a man struggling with his own demons while striving for personal growth. This unwavering commitment to speaking the truth surfaced once more when he addressed Bruce Willis in the wake of Willis's 2023 announcement of frontotemporal dementia, privately reaching out to Willis to recognize him as an iconic figure in film, while also acknowledging him as a vulnerable human being enduring the most personal and difficult of struggles. Bruce is a giant, but he's a man with a family who. Bruce Willis's career had spanned television fame in the 1980s as David Addison on. His comedic timing and charisma were solidified in Moonlighting, where he won Emmys and Golden Globes. His marriage to Demi Moore in 1987 briefly elevated them to Hollywood royalty. Die Hard, released in 1988, portrayed him as the everyman hero John Mlan. In the 1990s, he had a revitalizing turn in Quentin Tarantino's Pulp Fiction and starred in Die Hard with a Vengeance, The Last Boy Scout, Pulp Fiction 1994, Die Hard with a Vengeance, Pulp Fiction, The Fifth Element, Armageddon, and The. Willis became one of the most bankable and esteemed actors of his generation thanks to the massive success of The Sixth Sense and other films that combine commercial appeal with serious dramatic chops. In the 2000s, he acted in a variety of films, including the quiet, introspective, unbreakable action dramas Tears of the Sun, Sin City, Live Free or Die Hard, and a comedic role in Red. Meanwhile, his divorce from Moore was publicly but amicably ended in 2000, with little coverage in the tabloids. His marriage to model Emma Hemming in 2009 was notable for its respectful and co-parenting tone, and it would remain private. It was a break from flashbulb culture. The quality of Willis's work started to decline in the 2010s. After returning in 2013 for A Good Day to Die Hard, critics noticed that he was involved in a wave of low-budget direct-to-video thrillers, which were often criticized for being formulaic, cynically produced, and cliched. Rumors and gossip surfaced about on-set issues and, after realizing that Willis's health had been declining, directors started publicly criticizing his attitude. In 2022, the Golden Raspberry Awards created a category for Bruce Willis's worst performance due to the sheer quantity and poor quality of the films. Kevin Smith described his experience working with Willis on Cop Out as a nightmare, mentioning his lack of preparation and engagement, which Smith admitted in an article for the Los Angeles Times. The Razzies, who cast Willis in a 2021 film that sparked criticism after his aphasia diagnosis was publicized, took home the trophy and issued an apology after realizing that Willis's cognitive decline was a major factor in his lackluster performances. The incident served as a public demonstration of the importance of context in determining whether a decline in quality is the result of deliberate artistic decision-making or the effects of illness. Willis's determination to keep acting despite his deteriorating health demonstrates his commitment to his craft and love for performing. Willis made political headlines in his last years for his strong proud views, stating, "If you take one gun away from one American, you're breaking the Constitution." This reinterpretation of his onset difficulties in light of his aphasia symptoms, including confusion, frustration, and difficulty concentrating, showed that he was struggling internally rather than just a celebrity with an inflated ego. He also became known as a conservative voice in Hollywood, speaking out against government surveillance and privacy rights. His stances on these issues contributed to his complex public image, which ranged from fiercely patriotic to tone-deaf or provocative, depending on who you asked. Although he was no longer a constant political campaigner, Willis maintained a low profile and allowed his few remarks to reverberate subtly in the public eye.